Today we're going to be shooting a video on how to make a router tabletop. But we're shooting it to demonstrate the fact that one person without a crew can make a decent video on their product or their business. And in order to do this, I'm using 3 different cameras all at the same time. So this one is a Sony Xperia Z3 using software called Open Camera, which is free. And it's on a jib that I made that holds the camera so it can point down at the tabletop so that we can see exactly the detail that's going on. Okay, carrying on. We're also going to use this other rig that holds the tablet. I know the background's a little messy, but it's there, and it is used as an introduction, as a broad shot within the scene of making the product. So it holds a tablet, which is a Samsung Tab A Mini. Again, it shoots at the same video quality as the phone. So, and the mirror is there so that I can actually see myself and what's going on. Hi, Brent here, and what's going on today is I'm going to be making a router tabletop so I can continue to make some small parts that I need. And what I'm going to do is put it's a 3/4 inch piece of MDF board. We're going to put it on the table saw, and we're going to wind the blade up through it. Now, part of the problem comes when you're trying to hold MDF, wind the blade up through it. It could slip. Not a good thing. So what I've done is I designed these things about a month ago, and they're clamp assists, and I put small objects in here, and we hold it together and we clamp it, and it really works well. So, but what I'm going to use them for today is we're going to use them to hold down the MDF board. So we're going to turn them and put them over top of the fence on the table saw, push down on the assist, and clamp it shut. And we're going to use 2 of them. Again, 2 on one side, 1 on the other, give it a little more stability so that we can put it down, clamp it, and I have another piece over here that pushes in this direction. So then when we turn the saw on and wind the blade up, nothing is going to happen to the MDF board except have a slot cut in it. But what I've done is I've measured this, which is the plate I'm using for the router set inside. I've measured that on the board, cut it out, and then moved it in 1/4 inch, which is the size of the slot I'm going to cut so that the board will fit into the flat surface. So now we're going to turn the saw on and wind it up through. Safety first. And I like to wear earplugs to help save my hearing. So here goes. So here we are at the top, successfully wound the blade up through the MDF board, and it didn't move at all, stayed centered. And the really cool part is, even though the blade is rounded, it didn't cut to this line here. So then we're going to have to use a jigsaw to complete the cut. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change it over to the other side and wind the blade back down. You can see the nice straight clean cut that it makes. And the other side's the same. So when we lift this out, I'm going to turn it around and make sure the center line on the fence is on the center line of the board, so that this cut will be the same. Once again, you put these clamps down, press down on them, clamp them in place, and repeat. Okay, so now that we have the cuts made in the board, as you can see, there's 4. We're now going to take it off the table saw and complete these cuts with a jigsaw, just to make sure we get the pieces cut out. Nice and simple. We'll just do it here, and it'll be safe enough then, and we can hold the top onto the surface of the table saw, so that we don't drop this out and, you know, inadvertently drop the jigsaw as well, because it's a nice and big, powerful jigsaw too. So let's remove this, and then we can cut off or cut out the piece itself, and then we'll move on to setting up the router to make the final cut. So now we're going to use the DeWalt coping saw or jigsaw to make the finishing cuts. They're just short, and but we're holding the plate on the table saw with 2 clamps in the front and 1 clamp in the back to hold it down, because we don't want it to tip over. So let's make those cuts. So now that all the finishing cuts have been made by the jigsaw, we can now remove the centerpiece, and we can see we have a really nice square finish. And now all we have to do is route out the 1/4 inch to hold this plate, and that's why we left this mark here, because what we're going to use is a router bit with a pivot on it, and it's a 1/4 inch, so we're going to set it down inside and route out a 1/4 inch deep that plate will actually sit in, and that will be the finish for the router tabletop. And then we can show you how we set it up. But now we're going to have to get out it's a Frood 1/2 inch router, and we're going to show you how we're going to set that up to do this work. And we're going to do it right here, since we have this area. It's good and stable, because the router is very, very strong, and we don't want it getting away from us. Okay, now that the fitting the router plate, or routing out the top, is finished, it's now time to test our work and all our measurements, and to make sure that things work. This is the router plate that's going to fit in, and whoa, it fits perfectly flat, and able to take the router fit it on a stand. We've now got a router tabletop that we can use for all of our other projects. Wow, this has been quite the effort here. So table saw, measuring, grinding up through, finishing off with a jigsaw, and then routing out the slot that we need to hold this thing, and job's finished. Now we just have to use it.